Welcome to the day 7 of 21 days of machine learning by Code Warriors. Now today we are going to learn about a new algorithm, that is support vector regression. If you are familiar with various machine learning algorithms, you might have heard about support vector machine. Online there are a lot of courses, they usually talk about support vector machine, which is used for classification, but don't usually talk about support vector regression. But we are going to learn about support vector regression, so let's get started. Now we are going to follow those same three steps, that why we need support vector regression, what is support vector regression, and then its advantages and disadvantages. Alright, so first we are going to start with why we need support vector regression. Now at the time when the field of machine learning was such a new and there was various developments at that time, they have created many algorithms at that time, and they don't have such packages or libraries that we are using right now nowadays, like sklearn and like that. They have to write their own whole code for each algorithm. All right, so what they used to do is they write algorithm for multiple linear regression, so that they can create a model for linear data, and they need to write an algorithm for polynomial regression for the data which have non-linear relations between them. That's why the advancement come, or they may have thought to create an algorithm which can be used to perform both. I mean that time they needed an algorithm which can be used for both. Can also be used to create a model using the data having linear relation, and also creating a model in by using the data which have non-linear relation. So that's why they came up with an idea and they tried to create an algorithm, and that is support vector regression. I mean, this algorithm supports both linear and nonlinear regression, and that's why it was quite a handy and quite useful at that time. But there are a lot of disadvantages and drawbacks of this algorithm, and we may try to understand them later in the session. But we are going to learn about this algorithm first. So we need to understand what is support vector regression in order to understand how it works. Now the second step is what is support vector regression. Now, in order to understand, we need to think that in simple linear regression, what they used to do is they try to fit the data with the minimum error rate as possible. Using the equation y is equal to mx plus c, and the fitting the data as much as possible so that the error rate will be minimized, or the less as possible, right? Support vector regression kind of works similar to that, but it sets a threshold for the error rate. For example, let's say it will set a threshold of 10%, so it will fit the data in such a way that it will neglect, or don't think about the error rate with the data points with 10%, but it will try to fit the data in as much as possible so that the error rate will never exceed more than 10%. And that's how it works. It's a bit confusing first to understand this algorithm, but we will further go on. We will try to understand about each and everything about the algorithm step by step. So first we need to think of it like, as you can see in this equation, when it tries to fit the data in such a way that the error rate will be more than negative e% and less than e%, and like that, and that's how it fits the data using the algorithm. So in order to understand that, we need to understand about some of its terminology and some of its hyperparameters. So we will learn about them first. So first we are going to understand about the terms. There are four terms that usually come with support vector regression, that is kernel, hyperplane, boundary line, and support vectors. Alright, I mean first we need to understand about the hyperplane. Now hyperplane is the plane, or the line that fits the data. In the previous session we saw that how the different algorithm works. They try to fit the data with a line, a linear line, or for non-linear data it's kind of a curvy line, and like that. And that line is referred as hyperplane because it's try to fit the data on ourselves. So that was for the hyperplane. Second term is kernel. What is kernel? Now, the kernel is a function which is used to fit the data. We need to set the value of kernel as per our requirement. For example, to fit the linear data, we will set kernel to linear, and to set non-linear data, we need to set kernel to RBF. There are also other linear and non-linear kernel, and they are kind of function of how they work. So it means that kernel is a function that defines how the model is going to fit the data linearly or non-linearly, and there are a lot of functions. You can check out the documentation if you want to understand more about kernel. Alright, Third is boundary line. In the previous page, I told you about that it's try to threshold or try to limit the data. I mean, let's say we set a threshold of around like 10%. So the boundary line will be set from the model to 10% up and 10% down. And the fourth term that you may come with is support vectors. Now, the working of support vector regression is not similar compared to the other algorithms, and to understand why it is that the other algorithm depends on the data. I mean, all the data that are available in our data set, but support vector regression doesn't totally depend on data. It totally depends on support vectors or outliers. You've seen the previous video. What is outlier? Outlier are the data points that are farthest away from our model. They are kind of like the exception case, like they have a lot of error rate and they kind of show different characteristics compared to other data, right? So I mean, in this image you can see that this middle line is our best fitting line, that is our model, and you can also see a boundary from above and below it, and that is the boundary line which is set to the error rate. I mean, in the hyperparameter you can see the first hyperparameter is the error rate, which is E, also referred as epsilon. So epsilon defines how big or how small the boundary line will be. I mean, here in this image you can see that there is a boundary line above and below of our model, and the distance between the model and the boundary line is referred as epsilon, which is the error rate, or I mean the threshold error rate it sets, right? And second, as you can see, these are the potential support vectors because compared to all the data points, these data points are the farthest away from our model and they are the outliers, so they are going to define the support vectors. All right. And I mean, we saw that it defines or it works on the boundary, or I mean on the threshold of the error rate. So it doesn't have to worry about all the data points that are in boundary line, but it needs to understand or it needs to fit on the as on the basis of these support vectors. And that's why they were referred as support vectors, because they define the model. I mean, if the support vectors are little above, little less, like that, so the alignment of this model will be slightly different from here and like that. But there is also a second hyperparameter that is referred as tolerance. Tolerance is like tolerable rate for error. Let's say, suppose in the example we want the model which will also work with around like 5% error rate. All right, but we can set the tolerance to 0.5%, so that if the error rate of any data point is 5.2%, it will be tolerable for our model. All right, but if the tolerance value is 0.5%, but our error rate exceeds from like, let's say, 5.7%, so it won't be tolerable, so the model will try to fit again. All right, now you need to understand some things about the support vector regression here. First, it's try to fit the data on the basis of kernel. All right, and it uses hyperplane to fit the data, whether it's nonlinear or linear. All right. Third, it set the boundary line on the basis of error rate. I mean, how big the error rate is or how small the error rate is. It defines the boundary line above and below of our model. And fourth, that the support vector defines the model. And main thing that how it works is that it's try to fit the data with the minimum error rate as possible, so that it will try to fit the minimum error rate possible by fitting maximum data as possible. All right, and it also tries to fit the maximum data into the boundary line and also into the tolerable rate. So it will try to find the best model or best fit on our data with minimum error rate is possible and minimum tolerance, and also containing or also fitting maximum data as possible. So that's it about the support vector regression, its terms and parameters, and how it works. Now we need to understand it by using advantage and disadvantage of it. So the first advantage is that it supports both linear and non-linear regression. So we don't have to worry about using different algorithms for different type of data and like that. All right. Second is it memory efficient. Why it's memory efficient? Because it don't have to worry about, or it don't have to taken all the data points into the account which are in the boundary line. Instead, it only have to worry and fit on the basis of outliers. All right. So it's kind of memory efficient in this session, but there are some disadvantages that usually comes with it, and which are the drawbacks that it's not popular and nowadays, and it's not much quite used nowadays. So the first disadvantage that it had was it was not suitable for large dataset. Why large dataset? I mean, as the dataset increases, so records of it increases, the number of data points also increases. You don't have to worry about, or you don't have to take account of all the data points, I mean, between the boundary line, but it needs to worry about the outlier. Data point can possibly become an outlier, and also chance that it goes out of tolerable rate, and which will reduce its accuracy. All right. And second is it doesn't perform well with the noisy data. I mean, if the data is noisy, there are chances that it will be an outliner and also even outside of the tolerable rate. And for those data points, it will give an error. And if it's tried to fit on the basis of those data, it also end up fitting as wrong as possible. All right. In order to understand, let's see this image. I mean, first you can see it tried to fit all the data points as much as possible, and also maximum number of data in boundary and on the tolerable rate. But as the data point increases, as you can see here in the, as the data points increases, you can see that the maximum data points are I mean kind of collided, or I mean kind of at the center of the graph. But there are also a lot of data points here. Compared to them, they are less, so it won't fit on them, because you saw that support vector regression fits on basis of fitting the maximum data as possible into the boundary line and into the tolerable rate. So it's kind of going to neglect these data points, and it's kind of become an outlier for it. It's tried to fit the data with a minimum error rate as possible, but these data points are kind of outside, and for these data points the model is going to give less accurate output, or I mean a lot of error, right? So it will not work well for these data points. All right. And second, for the noisy data, as you can see here, this is the noisy data. I mean, comparing the relation of these data points, this relation is totally erroneous. I mean, it's kind of like a line here, but it won't be fitted on this. All right. It works similar as before. I mean, you can see that it's also a noisy data. If you try to hypertune the parameter, increase the error rate, it will try to fit the data on the basis of erroneous data and end up fitting the data as bad as possible. All right. And that's why it doesn't get, it's not popular nowadays, because nowadays we want a model to fit on the large data set as possible. And also there are a lot of chances that our data set is going to include a lot of noises, or I mean the noisy data or erroneous data. So that's why support vector regression is not much used nowadays. So that was all about advantage and disadvantage. So now we are going to implement support vector regression using sklearn in our code. So first, all we need to do is we need to import SVR, which is referred as support vector regression, from sklearn.svm. After that, we need to create an object of SVR. Let's say here we called it as a regressor, and in which we need to define the kernel of it. Here we are defining kernel as RBF, which is used for non-linear dataset. If the dataset is linear, there is also a kernel referred as linear. Alright. I mean, you may kind of get confused about it. You can search about it in the documentation. There are a lot of kernels, they work differently, and like that you can even understand about it. They have their own functions. And similarly, in order to fit or train the data, you need to use dot fit, in which you need to pass training set, which is our independent variables and dependent variables. And then for prediction, all you need to do is regressor dot predict, and in which you need to pass testing data, and it will return the prediction. Here we stored it in y underscore pred. You will find link to our blog and LinkedIn post in the description. You can refer them if you want to learn or want to have more understanding about it. And that's it for today's session. Hope you like it. Enjoy. Keep learning.